Yay! It's my fantasy football show. You should watch it.
Why, hello and welcome back to all of my friends, my fans, and my fellow FTFLers to the longest running weekly episodic fantasy football show out there. That's right, boys and girls, it is time for the FTFL weekly update, and I am not only the host of this award-winning show, I am not only, sadly, just a two-time league champion, but I am the fat lady who has warmed herself up and is singing at the top of her lungs because the 2024 season has come to a close, and that means this is it, boys and girls. That's right, it is I, Brett Sieber. And I know, I promised lots of folks, I said, hey, we're going to be in the hot tub to shut this down. I wanted to be in the hot tub, absolutely extenuating circumstances, other things going on. I couldn't wait any longer. We had to put a bow on this and send it home proper. And send it home proper we will. First and foremost, a congratulations to the newest member of the 3 Times Club. And no, I'm not talking about how many times, you've had intercourse during the course of your life, because I believe that's still just John is the sole member of that. That was mean. That was really mean. You can tell I'm upset. I'm upset about losing the championship game. I apologize, John. You were my ride or die. Somewhere in there, the 3 Times Club. The ride or die. There's a joke there, too. I swear, folks, I haven't been drinking. I am, of course, in the ice cave, which will set sail within the next few days. It has been an amazing ice-making season, but I digress. The newest member of the 3 Times Club. Of course, we all know the only member of the 4 Times Club is Mana, 4 times. Lucky Pants, breaking and entering, title thieving, worst record in the history of the FTFL single season. Champ Mana, Jeff Markser, others in the 3 Times Club, Sid, Swart, and Eric, and now Andy. More, of course, on that later. Now, Peter could have left Matt as the lone individual on the island of irrelevancy. However, Peter and Matt still find themselves there, even though Peter did end the season with the bang. And speaking of ending things with the bang, the Reaper is back and seemingly, not even seemingly, is on track. What a season it was. We saw the 150th episode of the show. We were really light on guests this year, although I had an absolute blast doing it again this year. You know what? That kind of, throws a little shade at my co-host for a few weeks, Lizzie. I don't know if we're going to get her next year. She heads off to school. Maybe a couple guest appearances here and there. We will have to see. Why don't we get to the game so we can, of course, get to also my top cringy moments of the year before we set the draft date and head up on out of here. Here it is, Fantasy Bowl. The Brother Bowl. Mixing cocktails coming in at 10-6, taking on the Hulkamaniacs at 10-5, and this one was a game. 106 for Andy, 100.5 for me. If you're Andy, it was a full-blown team effort. Patrick Mahomes, 24 points. Jonathan, the MVP of the playoffs. Taylor, 21 points. Philly, 20 points. Mark Andrews, 11. Jamar Chase, 10.5. James Conner, 1. Devin A-Chain, 3. Now, of course, when I saw Connor went down after the first series, and then, of course, later A-Chain did nothing, that was the door being left open, but it wasn't to be. Lamar Jackson did his part for me, 28 points. Jahmyr Gibbs, 18 points. The only 2 players on my team with touchdowns. And oh, by the way, if you want to go back over the last several weeks, you would have to go back to week 11 to find a player not named Lamar or Jahmyr scoring touchdowns for my team. That's right, the final 6 weeks of the season, it was Lamar and Jahmyr. Sure, Puka Nacua, I should take that back. Puka Nacua was the 3rd member. But other than that, there wasn't anything. Got off to a really hot start. Definitely had contributions along the way, but not enough, and especially not enough when it mattered most. The Rams defense, nice pickup down the stretch. I was hoping that they were going to do what they did, and they did. However, not enough, because if you're Jaden Reed, a half point isn't going to cut it. Tucker Kraft, 3 points isn't going to cut it. Ugh. It was tough to watch. Of course, Kyle Pitts notches his second highest point total of the year. You know what I have for you, Kyle Pitts? I have one last gift here down in my sack. Oh, there it is right there. Oh, speaking of gifts, I haven't gifted Adam Swart his gift yet. I ordered it, and it didn't come yet. And so I would love to kick off maybe a special draft presentation of Adam Swart's gift. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm sorry, Adam. I apologize. But Kyle Pitts, 10 points on the bench. Would have made a difference. It didn't. Andy wins. I lose. In the 2020s, I now have a third place finish, a second place finish, a first place finish, and of course a consolation championship. Not a bad run to start. Would have been nice to notch a second title of this decade. Speaking of a team that already has 3 titles and could have been playing for his 4th, however, blew his wad too early, the Pack Attack coming in 11-4, taking on the Valhalla Vandals at 9-7. And wouldn't you know it, Peter remembered to submit his lineup on time. 128 for him, 102.5 for Eric. If you're Peter, Baker Mayfield, good God, did that guy have a season? Probably isn't talked enough with regards to MVP. Had himself an absolute start to finish, just a season. 20 points for Trey McBride, 36 if I didn't mention it for Mayfield. McMillan, Tampa Bay's Jalen McMillan, I believe. 18.5 points for him. Came out of nowhere in the second half of the season. Too little, too late, of course, for Peter. Jordan Addison, 13. McLaughlin, 12. Amir Abdullah, that's right, Amir Abdullah got a start in a fantasy bowl. 9.5 points. Sorry. Third place game. 9.5 points for him. If you're Eric, Mike Evans, 22, Josh Allen, 20, Derrick Henry, 17, Jacobs, JJ, and Kittle all notch 10. Devontae Smith on your bench, 23 points, could have won, but you didn't. I mean, I'm not going to call that necessarily a cringy moment. However, this season had its fair share. It is, of course, going to be really tough to beat what one particular franchise put on paper. But I'm going to go, I guess I have 7 here. My top 7 cringiest moments of the year. Starting at number 7. This one, it wasn't bad, but it ended up not being helpful. Saltmarsh's trade for Bijan Robinson and DeAndre Swift. He gave up a first, he gave up a third, he gave up, I believe, a 5th. Chase Brown was in that deal. Like, Sid kind of mopped up. It was an attempt for Saltmarsh to kind of bolster his roster, make the playoffs. We all know he didn't because of, a person who's on this list a couple of times. Salty, you are number 7. Number 6, Jeff's second round of the draft. He was all sorts of excited. 3 second-round picks, none of which did jack squat, of course, led to Jeff's, now infamous record-breaking season. Number 5, Peter's Alec Pierce drama. I don't know if you remember this, back in September and October. He picked him up, he dropped him. He picked him up, he dropped him. I believe there might have been a third pickup and drop somewhere in there. It was kind of ridiculous, toe dipping all over the place. But hey, at least he was getting a lineup in back then. Number 4, Sid didn't keep Derrick Henry. Instead, opted for Bijan Robinson. Of course, he later turned into a 1st, 3rd, 5th, and Chase Brown. So maybe Sid wins on that one. But then again, Derrick Henry had himself a season. What could have been for Sid had he gotten him, but he didn't. Number 3, Peter forgets to submit a lineup. Again, for, I don't know, the 3rd of the last 4 seasons, maybe even 4 out of the last 4. Peter failed to submit a lineup, and it cost not Peter, but Saltmarsh in what will go down as one of the more tragic incidences of the season. Of course, that was the same week where Dallas blocked a punt and then Muff trying to recover it, which led to Cincinnati getting the ball back, which led to 2 plays later, Andy scoring a 10-point Jamar Chase touchdown and making the playoffs. By the way, Andy started 0-3 and then snuck his way into the playoffs, and, the rest is history. Number 2, Jeff Markser and his 14-game losing streak. We'll never see it again. It won't happen. It just won't. There's no way in hell. It shouldn't have happened this year, but somehow it did. And I know a lot of you are going, wait, if Jeff was the number 2 top cringy moment, what could possibly be number 1? Oh, I don't know. If an individual were to trade for an elite running back before the trade deadline. Not unheard of. Something that, is done on a fairly normal, number of seasons. You want to get better. You give up that top, you get that top running back. Now, when you're getting that top running back and you're giving up, a draft pick, and not just any old draft pick, but a first-round draft pick, it would reason to believe that that player is a part of your future plans for a while, at least next year, since you gave up a first. But in the case of Adam Swart and Jonathan Taylor, that couldn't be farther from the truth. Jonathan Taylor played 2 games for Adam Swart. He gave up a first. In return, he got a second back for it. I don't know. I'm not necessarily a currency trader. I'm not someone who watches that market and is dealing with all the monies and trying to figure out the exchange rate so I come out on top every time. But I am pretty certain that a first-round pick for 2 weeks of service in return for a second-round pick, unless you're going to spend it the way Jeff Markser did. Adam Swart, you are my number one cringy moment of the year. You, much like his namesake Taylor, dropped the ball, if you will, as you were about to cross the goal line. And in the end, you missed the playoffs. And, you will be infamously tied to the Jonathan Taylor trade, which might have given Andy the title. Thanks, Adam Swart. Thanks a lot. Now, the stud, the dud, and we'll wrap it on up. Oh, wouldn't you know it? Stud of the week, Jonathan Taylor. 67.5 points. Now, not just in one game, over the 3 games of the playoffs, which, by the way, if that would have been a season's totals worth of points in the running back position, he would have been the 41st running back on the list. Number 41. That is, we all start 2. So you're going, all right, well, there's 20 guys right there. Every one of us has a couple on our bench. Oh, so now we're up to 40 guys. He would have been the 41st running back had I only played those 3 weeks. And Adam Swart said, nah, don't need you. See you later. Bye-bye. Dud of the week, any player not named Jameer Lamar. Good God. I mean, I could not catch a break down the end of the way. And, of course, I was able to get there, but I wasn't able to get exactly where I wanted to go. And so goes. But where you will want to be going on August 23rd, which of course is the Saturday of the weekend before Labor Day weekend, you'll be hopping in a vehicle. If you're Eric, you're hopping in the private jet, taking a quick flight up to Elkhorn, Wisconsin, the site of the 2025 FTFL draft. Andy's house, he has claimed. We're going to go golfing. I'll stay back and watch the dog to make sure he doesn't chew up anything, or just make sure that the mailman doesn't try to get thievy with any of Andy's yard belongings. Things that I don't want to do, but I will do because I care. Because I care. And that about does it. Thank you so much for week after week tuning in, the fan mail, the special guests, all of us. Again, I've been doing this show for 9 seasons. Next year, by the way, is season 10. It's not my show. It's our show. I love doing it. I look forward to doing it. It is going to be a long 8 months before I get to do it again. I'm starting to sound like John's 3 times club again. I'm sorry, John. It just kind of came up. Man, next year we're going to go all out. We're going to revisit some things from the past, of course. Try to bring in some past league members, potentially, for some interviews. That would be amazing. And, of course, look to crown yet another champion. Can't wait. We'll see you all on August 23rd. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of winter. And until next time, peace! Another season is over. God. What I wouldn't have given. Just have it all come down in the end. One game, anyone besides Jahmyr Gibbs and Lamar Jackson does anything. But nope. We can't do that now, can we? Can't do that. You know what else? God. What the hell? Goddamn Reaper. What the, you just kind of, last year doesn't do anything, lets me blow in the breeze. I completely lose my goddamn mind. finally he decides, through a bunch of shenanigans, to go ahead and just pull the trigger. But let me tell you what, sure took a lot of convincing. And this year, gets his ass beat, and then disappears, only to come back in the final week just to screw me. Yeah, I'm done with that guy. You know what? I'm gonna go do something about it. Yes, mine, Reaper.